The goal of these right-wing extremists is clear: to control the bodies of women, girls, and any person who can become pregnant.
What?
In other news, one of the marquee Senate races this November is in the state of Pennsylvania. It's between Democrat John Fetterman and Republican Mehmet Oz. It's a pretty incredible matchup for a bunch of reasons. It's obviously very contested, difficult political environment, swing state. And in this environment, Democrats have put up an almost perfect candidate.
Well, just look at me.
At 6'8", John Fetterman, the Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, looms tall both in person and in politics.
Lieutenant Governor Stone Cold.
This is a guy who, seen by many, and I think rightly, as a kind of archetype for the state of Pennsylvania.
I believe I did the right thing, but I may have broken the law during the course of it. And, I'm certainly not above the law.
Democrats have put up an almost perfect candidate.
The mayor of Braddock admits to pulling a shotgun after chasing a man he suspected of firing a gun near his home. And it turns out that man was just an innocent jogger.
An almost perfect candidate.
Mayor Fetterman held up an unarmed black man whom he suspected of being involved in a shooting.
And just down the road by Braddock Mayor Fetterman's home when he heard what he thought was assault rifle gunfire. He chased a man that he thought was responsible, then pulled a shotgun to confront him until police arrived.
Why a shotgun? Why a shotgun? If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. Have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts.
And I heard approximately a dozen or more what clearly sounded like assault rifle gunshots go off.
Mayor John Fetterman says he rushed his son inside, called 911, and took off in his truck after a masked man in black he saw running. But Chris Mayeras, the man Fetterman confronted, turns out to be an innocent jogger who police say had no weapon.
There wasn't any assault rifle shots. It was bottle rockets behind the library.
Mayor Fetterman did have a weapon.
A 20-gauge shotgun under the back seat of my truck, which I pulled out and I showed to just say, look, we're going to wait here and we're going to get this all sorted out when the police arrive.
Mayeras and the mayor tell very different stories. He says Fetterman
followed me into North Braddock and pulled a shotgun and aimed it at my chest.
Did you point the shotgun at him?
No, I did not. I pointed it, way so. Pointed it, way so. Pointed it,
Who is this guy, John Fetterman?
My name is John FetterWoman. My name is John FetterWoman. My name is John FetterWoman.
An almost perfect candidate.
I pointed it, way so that he would see that I was armed, but I did not point it at him. In fact, I didn't even have a round chambered or remove the safety at that point.
Bullshit. For both men, it was frightening. North Braddock's police chief says his officers tell him the shotgun incident was over when they arrived. Mayeras says that's not true. The police tried to laugh it off.
I mean, there's a mayor with a shotgun and 6 other cops surrounded me. What else could I do but this?
I believe I did the right thing, but I may have broken the law during the course of it. And, I'm certainly not above the law if I did. But what I did in a split second out of concern as the father and the mayor.
He's trying to make it like it's okay. He's trying to justify what he did. I mean, you're the mayor of Braddock in North Braddock with a shotgun.
After meeting with both men, North Braddock's chief is advising the heiress to bring his concerns to county authorities.
Fetterman, Pennsylvania's outspoken, tattooed, anti-suit-wearing lieutenant governor.
An almost perfect candidate.
John Fetterman is a blunt-talking, self-described progressive.
An almost perfect candidate.
He's throwing his hat in the ring for U.S. Senate. He ran for Senate in 2016 and is doing it again.
I think it's important that Pennsylvania have a voice in the Senate and would never choose to lie for their own political advancement or to score points with their base. And I pointed it, a way so that he would see that I was armed.
That Fetterman's look is a gimmick, calling him a spoiled trust fund baby.
An almost perfect candidate.
And the New York Times recounted a report this week from 2013 where Fetterman pulled a shotgun on an unarmed black man whom he thought was involved in a nearby shooting.
I called 911 and I saw this individual dressed in black, in a face mask, running from the scene of those gunshots, a corridor which had dozens of shootings over the years, heading towards our elementary school in town, a couple weeks after the Sandy Hook child massacre.
He called it a split decision. Now voters have their own decision.
Here's the thing. Fetterman recently, you might remember, right before the primary, had this bad health scare, right? He suffered a stroke back in May, took him off the trail. He said in one of the statements that he could have died. His wife told him to go to the doctor, and he's had a recovery. And during that recovery, he's been off the trail, but he has taken to social media just absolutely hammering home the fact that Oz has basically nothing to do with Pennsylvania. There is no reason for this to be the senator from Pennsylvania.
Getting on Twitter every morning is like starting the day with a dog turd and motor oil smoothie. It's horrible. And I do that in a way that mixes kind of humor and mockery with cold hard facts.
Well, Fetterman's a fraud. I'm actually in Pittsburgh now, which is close to where he's currently living, although he's not from here originally, and they know it. And they tell me all the time how much they dislike him. He was supported by his parents until he was elected as lieutenant governor 4 years ago. He lived on handouts without paying his taxes correctly, by the way. And yet he's raising taxes right now, advocating for that on the working class after pushing for reckless spending programs and, creating all this inflation. And he's a rubber stamp for Joe Biden. And here's the thing. He's the most radical Democratic candidate in a contested election this cycle. I'll say it again. The most radical in a contested election, yet no one knows it.
An almost perfect candidate. A few weeks ago, Oz posted this video criticizing the Democratic mayor of Philadelphia. Fetterman quickly pointed out that it appeared the video was filmed in that North Jersey mansion. Nice bookshelf there between those very, very nice windows. Fetterman then hired planes to fly over the Jersey shore with a banner reading, "Hey, Dr. Oz, welcome home to New Jersey." There was this amazing cameo that Fetterman commissioned by a very recognizable New Jersey face.
I don't know why anyone would want to leave Jersey, because it's like the best place ever, and we're all hot messes. So good luck, you got this, and Jersey loves you. Mwah.
By the way, the funniest part of that cameo is to imagine that she had no idea that it was going to be used in the campaign. It was just like, oh, a message from my friend who's from Jersey but leading.
Oh, Dr. Oz, they've been spinning this tale, as I said, and it's always, the kind of the stunts and the costume. So he has the costume. He kind of looks like Uncle Fester hits the gym. That's kind of what he looks like. They put Snooki out there to say you don't live in Pennsylvania. But are you living in the house that you and your wife were married in? I think I read that somewhere. Is that the case?
It is the case. 37 years ago, best decision I ever made. I was in medical school in Philadelphia at Penn. I also went to Wharton Business School because I was studying healthcare finance. Might come in handy when I'm serving in the Senate. I grew up just south of Philadelphia, had a couple children in Pennsylvania. I mean, these are fairy tales, but even the Inquirer, who's not been a big ally of mine, is saying, enough, Fetterman, start talking about real issues. Stop hiding in your house. The Joe Biden program is not the right thing for democracy. Come out and talk about real issues. But frankly, Laura, he never has.
The trolling is literally nonstop. In fact, just today, Oz tweeted this amazing image trying to tie Fetterman to Senator Bernie Sanders. Fetterman responded with this: graphic design is my passion tweet. It's just the latest in Fetterman's unceasing campaign to clobber his opponent, who, again, has no reason to be the senator from Pennsylvania. Now, Fetterman says he is ready to get back on the trail
People thought he was lazy. I don't know what it is, but he doesn't like to go out and meet people and actually answer questions. And I'll it a good example. It was Erie earlier today. I got the Fraternal Order of Police endorsement. There was a Capitol Police African-American officer there, and she said she had never in her career been as disrespected. She said John Fetterman makes you feel like what's under your shoe when you walk out of a dog park. Let's look at Philadelphia, the city that I live in. You know, we have the highest murder rate ever in known record keeping, and yet we've got 1/3 of all the prisoners he wants to release. He wants to decriminalize drugs.
Some people ask, why give somebody convicted of second-degree murder a second chance? This morning, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman gave us his input and why he believes some prisoners are worthy of redemption. For example, take Charles Haas. The lieutenant governor says the 70-year-old man has served 40 years from his role in a deadly robbery in 1978. Fetterman says Haas's brother stabbed the victim and a female accomplice shot him. Yet he says Haas has spent the most time in prison by far.
Is justice? Well, you know, you were sitting in a getaway car, had no idea what was happening. You should die in prison along with the person who pulled the trigger. I don't believe that we should.
He doesn't want any life sentences no matter what you've done wrong. He's hiding behind his radical views at home. Let's get him out, talk to the people, admit what you're really representing, and let the Pennsylvania public decide who to vote for.
So we'll see if he can continue to absolutely roast Oz IRL. I think the odds are pretty good.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I'm going to say it this way. A vote for Fetterman is a vote to keep these disastrous policies that have destroyed the energy industry in Pennsylvania, jacked up gas and food prices, and given a rubber stamp to Chuck Schumer. That's what he is. The costume doesn't work. It's tedious, and everyone, I think, is beginning to see through it. Dr. Oz, we're watching this very closely. We appreciate you. Thank you.